The year is 210 BC. Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor who unified China through sheer force and ambition, dies suddenly during an imperial tour. This single event triggers a chain reaction that will bring a seemingly invincible empire to its knees. His death, if revealed, would unleash chaos across the lands he so ruthlessly conquered. The empire, built on fear and centralized power, was terrifyingly fragile. To prevent an immediate implosion, two of the most powerful men in the empire make a pact. Chancellor Li Si and the eunuch Zhao, they conceal the emperor's death, hiding his corpse in a sealed carriage. As the imperial procession continues its slow journey back to the capital, a gruesome deception unfolds. Carts filled with salted, rotting fish are placed near the emperor's carriage to mask the unmistakable stench of decay. The fate of millions now rests on a lie, shrouded by the smell of putrefaction. Why the deception? Power. Pure and simple. The legitimate heir was Fusu, the emperor's eldest son, a capable and respected commander stationed at the Great Wall. But Fusu was strong-willed, and Zhao, a master manipulator, had no interest in serving a ruler he couldn't control. He needed a puppet, someone pliable and weak. He found the perfect candidate in Hu Hai, the emperor's younger, sheltered son who cared more for luxury and entertainment than for the duties of the state. With Chancellor Li Si's reluctant and ultimately fatal compliance, Zhao forged an imperial decree. It was a death sentence disguised as a final command from the Son of Heaven. The decree was sent north to Fusu, ordering him to take his own life. Fusu, a man of honor and duty, believed the order was genuine. Without question, he obeyed his father's supposed command and committed suicide. The greatest obstacle to Zhao plan was eliminated with a single stroke of a brush. With Fusu gone, the path was clear. Hu Hai ascended the throne as Qin Shi, the second emperor of Qin. The empire, which had been forged in fire and discipline, was now in the hands of a pleasure-seeking novice, guided by a power-hungry eunuch. The stage was set for one of the most dramatic collapses in history. The powerful Qin Dynasty, designed to last for 10,000 generations, had just taken its first, irreversible step towards ruin. Under the influence of Zhao, the new emperor, Qin Shi, began a reign of terror and incompetence. His first act was to eliminate any potential rivals. He systematically executed his own brothers and sisters, ensuring that no legitimate contender could challenge his throne. The imperial court, once filled with the brightest minds of the empire, was purged. Officials who dared to voice dissent or were merely perceived as a threat were imprisoned or killed. A climate of fear descended upon the capital, paralyzing the government. While the court trembled, the people suffered. Taxes, already high under Qin Shi Huang, were raised to impossible levels to fund the emperor's extravagant lifestyle and monumental construction projects, like the ever-expanding Epang Palace. Forced labor, a cornerstone of Qin's power, was intensified. The millions were conscripted, torn from their families and farms to build palaces and tombs for a ruler they would never see. The state's resources were hemorrhaging, and the foundations of society were cracking under the strain. The oppression became unbearable. In 209 BC, just a year after Qin Shi took the throne, the first spark of rebellion ignited. Two common soldiers, Chen Sheng and Wu Guang, were delayed by rain while transporting conscripts. According to Qin law, being late for a government assignment, regardless of the reason, was punishable by death. Facing certain execution, they chose to fight instead. Their slogan, "Our kings and nobles born with a special seed," resonated with the oppressed masses. What started as a desperate act of survival quickly spread like wildfire. Across the vast empire, officials abandoned their posts, farmers took up arms, and descendants of the old noble families of the 6 conquered states re-emerged, seeking to restore their lost kingdoms. Warlords carved out their own territories, declaring themselves kings. The iron grip of the Qin had rusted through. The dynasty, built on absolute control, was rotting from the inside out, consumed by the very chaos it was designed to prevent. As the empire burned, the power struggles within the palace reached a fever pitch. Zhao, the architect of this disaster, saw his co-conspirator, Chancellor Li Si, as the final obstacle to absolute power. Li Si, one of the most brilliant legalist minds and a key figure in the unification of China, had grown increasingly worried about the state of the empire. He was a threat. Zhao began whispering poison into the ear of the paranoid emperor, Qin Shi. He fabricated charges of treason, suggesting that Li Si was conspiring with the rebels. The emperor, completely detached from reality and trusting his eunuch advisor implicitly, believed every word. Without a proper investigation, Li Si was arrested, tortured, and forced to confess to crimes he did not commit. In a tragic irony, the man who helped create the brutal legal system of the Qin became its most famous victim. Li Si was executed by the 5 pains punishment, a gruesome method he himself had endorsed. His entire family was exterminated. With Li Si gone, the court was stripped of its last ounce of competence. Zhao's power was now absolute, but the flames of rebellion were closing in. The Qin armies, once invincible, suffered defeat after defeat. The illusion of control was shattered. Facing military collapse, Zhao decided it was time to discard his puppet. He sent his soldiers to the emperor's palace, forcing Qin Shi to commit suicide. The emperor, who had executed his siblings, purged his court, and bled his empire dry, died alone and abandoned, a casualty of the game he never understood he was playing. With the emperor dead, Zhao needed a new figurehead. He installed Xiang, a nephew of Qin Shi, as the new ruler. But Xiang was no fool. He knew exactly who was responsible for the destruction of his family and the empire. In his first act of power, Xiang orchestrated a trap and had Zhao and his entire clan executed, finally cutting out the cancer that had been poisoning the Qin court from within. But it was too little, too late. The empire was a hollow shell. Xiang's reign lasted only 46 days. Rebel armies converged on the capital from all directions. The Qin Dynasty, for all practical purposes, no longer existed. Facing overwhelming odds, Xiang rode out of the capital in a plain carriage, holding the imperial seal, and surrendered to the rebel leader Liu Bang. Soon after, another, more powerful warlord arrived, the formidable Xiang of Chu. In a final brutal act, Xiang executed Xiang, burned the magnificent Qin palaces to the ground, and looted the capital. The Qin Dynasty, which had risen from the west to conquer all under heaven, was officially and definitively over. Its dream of 10,000 generations had lasted a mere 15 years. The fall of the Qin wasn't just an end, it was a new beginning. From the ashes of its collapse, 2 titanic figures emerged, the aristocratic and ruthless Xiang and the charismatic man of the people, Liu Bang. Their epic rivalry, known as the Chuhan Contention, would become one of the most legendary conflicts in Chinese history. This struggle would not only decide the fate of the nation, but would also give birth to a new dynasty, one that learned from the Qin's mistakes. Ultimately, Liu Bang would triumph, establishing the Han Dynasty. The Han would go on to rule for over 400 years, becoming a golden age in Chinese civilization and shaping the identity of China to this very day. The Qin dynasty was short-lived, but its legacy was monumental. It showed the power of a unified state, but its rapid collapse served as a timeless lesson on the dangers of tyranny, the poison of unchecked ambition, and the simple truth that an empire built only on fear will inevitably crumble under its own weight. From its ruins, a stronger, more enduring China was born. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into one of history's most dramatic collapses, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from the past. See you next time.